Shalum, Shalum, and welcome. Welcome, O set apart nation. Welcome, brothers and sisters who seek to do the will of the Almighty Yahuah, the Almighty Creator, He that is the beginning and the end. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I am compelled to present before an awakening body of set apart children of the Almighty Father Yahuah in Yahusha's name. This is part 4 of End Time Unity Protocols, Checks and Balances. My brothers and sisters, though we are inundated with entertainment, excitement, anxiousness, overzealousness, just to mention the tip of many different emotions as we find ourselves being drawn closer to the Almighty Father, trying to navigate through all the noise is indeed challenging. This is part 4 of Unity Protocols, specific methods and procedures, specific actions that must be adhered to in order to magnify the presence of the living Almighty One, Yahuah, in Yahusha's name. Before I get into this segment, part 4, which is about Torah, I want to take a moment, and I'm going to say this, my brothers and sisters. These recordings are not brief. Some may consider me ranting. Whatever the case may be, I have grown to find Shalom in knowing that anything that I present, if it is made alive by the Almighty Father, if it originates by the actions of one being led by the Spirit of Yahusha, then His word will not return void. It will do what it's set out to do. It will perform what it's supposed to do. It will reach the ears of those it needs to reach. I must admit, my brothers and sisters, right now I feel a bit overwhelmed at all that I see and hear. Not shocked, but overwhelmed. Each time I pray when I feel overwhelmed, and each time when I ask the Most High, am I wrong? Have I stepped out of His guidance? Am I doing what is expected of me? He opened the floodgates and filled my spirit, my mind, with all that He see fit to let me see there is so much in His word. There's so much in His guidance. There's so much that we've yet to realize. But in due season, as His discipline rides upon us, we will see those who are drawn. We will begin to recognize those who are part of the elect, those who want to get away from so-called church as usual, or Hebrew fellowship as usual, or entertainment, or just hanging out. We will see that in the discipline of the Most High, that extreme humbling times will come. We will begin to identify those who are predators, male and female, just seeking to seduce another or others. We will see those who are given the strength, the fortitude, the discernment to receive what the Spirit of Yahusha has to say, so that the set apart ones of the Almighty Father, who will become known as the children of obedience, will discover liberty from the strongholds of things that have latched on to their attractions, to our attractions. Yasharal, as much as I want to talk about the need to ask questions, more and more questions, as much as I want to talk about how we need to begin to embrace ways to vet, to examine, that's a topic that will be a part of this series. And I just want you to know that I believe that's something that is important for us to recognize, because in questions come discovery. If our hearts, if our intent is to seek to discover what is expected of us and obey. So as I pray, as I find myself comforted by understanding the plan of the Most High as much as He has made it clear to me, I press forward. With that said, let's get into this segment. The term Torah. Many who are in the truth have witnessed the word Torah sensationalized and used with different meaning. Oftentimes I have witnessed individuals using the word Torah to push their agenda as they use their own personal interpretations of scriptures, fragmented. You see, my brothers and sisters, when someone quotes scriptures and it's fragmented and it conflicts, opposed to have the ability to connect other scriptures and connect the Spirit of the Most High flowing within us, through us, one towards another. If there is conflict, if there is a lack of continuity and set apartness, and we ask questions and we get to the bottom of it, we will be able to discern who indeed is pushing a personal agenda or personal interpretation. I've witnessed people talk about Torah and say that it's instructions, but yet they'll keep talking Torah and then they'll say it's just the 5 books of the scriptures. And then some will say Torah means instructions, but they won't say the Torah, the ultimate instructions that make for almighty purpose. The ultimate instruction is the instructions from the Almighty Father. They don't put qualifiers in it, whether they use the words I just used or not. They don't put qualifiers. Some use the word Torah to make it seem like they're more spiritual. Are we not aware for years Satan has attacked the set-apart children of the Almighty Father by giving them something to make them think they will be like the Almighty Father Yahuah? Are we not aware of the story of Adam and Eve? How the enemy seduced them to think that if they ate of the forbidden fruit, they would be as the Almighty One. He's doing that to this day. The greatest deception mechanism that the Most High, that Satan, the greatest deception that Satan used to fight the Most High's children is to tamper with the writings that we know as the Bible or the scriptures. The greatest deception that Satan will use against the children of the Almighty One is to get us to look at things prematurely, premature stops, or in part, or avoid seeking the continuity, the flowing water of the voice of the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahushua's name. Even with the books that carry the label scriptures and have escaped pagan turns, these new scriptures that we see being published, they lack as well. The letters lack as well. You see, my brothers and sisters, the Most High wants us to always seek His Spirit, seek His living presence, seek His Word. Though many have sensationalized His Word or His presence, they have chosen to sensationalize the word Ruach HaKodesh opposed to sensationalizing His name, Yahuah, in the name of Yahusha. Sensationalizing Yahusha, for it is in lifting up Yahusha that we will witness coming together, those who are drawn into set apartness at the words of the Almighty Father. I have witnessed individuals say that Torah is just the 5 books of Mushah. This is erroneous. There are instructions that the Most High gave Mushah. But I submit to you, O Yasharal, that the Almighty Father has been given instructions and directives before Moses and long since Moses. And all of His living instructions represent His Torah, for Torah means instructions. Discerning the life in the scriptures is done by discovering His living presence, His living Torah, His living word, His living instructions. We who are the children of the Almighty Father who seek to do His will discover that He will prove that His Torah, His instructions, started before Moses and continues to go long after Moses. We will discover that yes, Moses was used in bringing about instructions and laws and ordinance, But there are so many other instructions. There are so many other directives that are given us that are not written in the scriptures, but they link up and they align themselves with the ways of the Most High, and they link up with passages of scriptures that exist. Yasharal end times will prove that the discipline from the Almighty Father will open our eyes and ears. We will move beyond our personal literacy skills, our personal reading and writing and comprehension skills, and we will discern the power and might of the Almighty Father. We will recognize and begin to identify His chosen leaders, His prophets, His teachers, His elders, His counselors. We will recognize those whom He chooses to speak through, and when He chooses to speak through them. Make no mistake, O Yasharal, the obstacles, the distractions that stir within our fellowships, within our groups, camps, the obstacles that are unfruitful in set-apart groups, set-apart camps, set-apart fellowships, those obstacles will be removed. In some cases, my brothers and sisters, He may indeed just ask us to leave them if the camp, group, or fellowship is wicked. Yasharal, O Yasharal, prepare to discover the realities that the living presence of the Most High is with us. And He is directing our footsteps, and He will make us straight. Whether it be in these physical bodies, or we will find correction upon resurrection, my brothers and sisters. Now, many may not understand what that means. Pray and seek to discern. With that said, allow me to read the following. John 14:25 and 26. I talk about it often. These words have I spoken to you while still with you. But the Helper, the set-apart Spirit, whom the Father shall send in my name, He shall teach you all and remind you of all that I've said to you. Notice that he did not say that you will be taught by reading the scriptures on your own, that you will be able to just lean on the text. It says the set-apart Spirit will teach you. You see, we have the book. We have the scriptures. These are tools, O Yasharal. It is the Spirit that makes these tools alive. And when we ignore His living instructions, then we find ourselves grabbing the text to try to bring life to it, only to create death when we're taking things out of context. Allow me to continue to read. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 4 through 6 reads as follows. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 4 through 6. And such trust we have toward the Almighty One through the Messiah, not that we are competent in ourselves to reckon any matter as from ourselves, but our competence is from the Almighty One, who also made us competent as servants of a renewed covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. My brothers and sisters, yes, there's a lot of noise going on. We are awakening, and we are seeking to find the right path together with the right individuals. Soon and very soon, we will begin to set priorities and make tough decisions and move on them. For the drawing power of the Almighty Father is not a suggestion. It's not a, can you come over here, please? Would you do this for me? Can you help me out here? We will discover that it's not passive, but they are living orders, living directives, living instructions. Every skill set that we have developed that can be a contribution to life in the building up of a set-apart nation will be identified and recognized. It will not be that you must have this. You know, I see individuals who have certain skill sets, and they believe their skill sets make them superior, that they should be the leader. But everyone have different skill sets. And some people think by being boisterous and loud. Some people think by being charismatic that makes them more of a leader. Some people project an image of confidence. But I tell you, O Yasharal, in discernment, you can see through that confidence. You can see the fear that they have. You can see the wickedness, the error, when they rise up, disregarding the need to follow the living Torah, the living instructions from the Almighty Father. Let us be mindful, O Yasharal. 1 John 4:1 says, Beloved ones, do not believe every spirit, but prove the spirits, whether they are of the Almighty One, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. We prove the spirits, my brothers and sisters, by questions, by inquiries. Case in point, there's a lot of brothers and sisters that talk about community. Our spirits are stirring to be in a set-apart community, to be among a set-apart community. But are we asking the right questions before we dive into such endeavors? Do the person have the skill sets to bring about the reflection of a set-apart community? Or are they perpetrating? Are they dictating? Are they stepping beyond the bounds of the Spirit of Yahusha and trying to bolster themselves as the most powerful thing that we should do? I say to you, O Yasharal, ask questions. How do you and how can you assure your safety, your future, your growth and set apartness in the community? How would it be? Who's directing whom? Do you see a full reflection of set apartness? Yes, I must admit, my brothers and sisters, some of this is a reflection of some things I've been exposed to over the last few days. But I've seen it over and over. I've seen brothers say, come out of the United States and come to Israel. But when we ask questions, we discover some things that may not be reflective of set apartness, that may not be reflective of the time is now. A lot of noise, my brothers and sisters. Enough for us to witness individuals who are impatient join some group that makes the most noise, thinking that that's the most set apart group. Or those who make demonstrations that seem to be confident and rest assured. Know this, my brothers and sisters. This is a spiritual battle. And there are people that talks about physical weapons and spiritual weapons. And I want to say this, and I'm going to talk about this when I get to the vetting series, but even in community, if you put your trust in someone that seems to be prepared with armament, if you put your trust in man, and I'm not saying it's wrong to own guns, not at all, but if you put your trust thinking these individuals will protect you and not in Yahusha, let me ask you, who is it that gives breath to an individual? So could a dead man fire a gun? Absolutely not. Who is it that grants sight and sound mind and allow a vessel to function? We live by the word of the Most High. Can a man having a seizure fire a gun with accuracy? Can a man having a heart attack or a woman having a heart attack, a stroke? Can a diseased man whose nervous system has been compromised be effective? You see, my brothers and sisters, all the mechanics that we might think to bring assuredness, if we leave out the Spirit of the Most High directing us, if we leave out living instructions on how to use any weapon or tools that the Most High would direct us to use, if we leave out leaning on His Spirit, we will find ourselves misstepping. We will find ourselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. When you depend on bullets, bullets run out. When you're a minority in battle, physical weapons become exhausted and waves of attacker can come. But who is it that is almighty that can cause the enemy to battle among themselves and kill themselves? If you search the scriptures, there were many times the Most High stepped in such a way that there was no doubt that the power and might of the Almighty Father was present. Search out the scriptures. They bear witness to these words. Let me also read 2 Timothy 2:2. It says, and what you have heard from me among many witnesses, entrust these to trustworthy men who shall be competent to teach others as well. we will discover the competent teachers among us, O Yasharal. Let us ask questions. Let us recognize our women and children, our old, our young, our sick and disabled. Let us recognize how we are to respond, for the living Torah, the living instruction of the Most High, is present. And he will make it all clear, O Yasharal. Know how to come away from those who, just because they may appear to be charismatic, overconfident, boisterous, ask questions, seek answers prayerfully, and you will discern what is behind the facade of many of these who appear to be so tough, so bad, so confident. We, no matter who we are in Yahushua Mashiach, no matter where we are in this set-apart family, that's who I'm referring to, the set-apart family. Each of us are valuable, each of us are important, and each of us have been born and placed in many locations that we may have chosen or may not have chosen. For such a time as this, there's a reason, there's a timing of our footsteps. And soon and very soon we will begin to migrate closer together. Those who are in obedience to the Spirit of the Most High Father Yahuah. Those who reflect lifting up Yahushua Mashiach and witnessing him drawing all men to himself. For that's the common denominator, O Yasharal. That's the living Torah. Instructions that draw us to Yahushua Mashiach, that lift him up. For it is in his strength, his power, that we will find ourselves coming together. And yes, some tough decisions are ahead. Be mindful of Ephesians 5:18-21. I talk about it when it talks about being filled with the Spirit, subjecting yourselves one to another in fear of the Almighty One. That subjecting is recognizing when Yahuwah, when his Spirit sent in Yahushua's name, is speaking through another to us, or us to another, and trusting that his word will do what it said. Who is aware of the life in Isaiah 11:55 that lets us know that the Almighty Father's words will not return void? It will do what it set out to do. It will go beyond just the 5 books of Mushah. And those who want to call it Torah, the 5 books, and Hap Torah, and all these labels, be mindful, O Yasharal. Be mindful of those who appear to be set apart and are not. Be mindful of those who have taken on habits of entities and individuals that they believe are set apart. Habits that are wicked to the core. Some unaware, some know very well what they're doing. Let me read Genesis 1:28 as I continue, O Yasharal. And the Almighty One blessed them, and the Almighty One said to them, bear fruit and increase and fill the earth and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the heavens and over all creatures moving on the earth. Does this sound like instructions that the Most High gave to Adam? Instructions mean Torah. Let me continue. Genesis 6:13-14. And the Almighty One said to Noah, the end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And see, I am going to destroy them from the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and out. Is this not a portion of the Most High giving instructions to Noah before Moses was ever born? Genesis 17:9, and the Almighty One said to Abraham, as for you, guard my covenant, you and your seed after you throughout the generations. There are instructions, living instructions that come from the Most High when he see fit, as he see fit. My brothers and sisters, it is my position that these were instructions given by the Almighty Father. And if we read the scriptures and we allow ourselves to yield to them coming alive, yield to the spirit of our teacher, Yahushua Mashiach, making the scriptures come alive, then we will recognize the reality of what Torah is. If we read, my brothers and sisters, if we study, we will begin to understand the dynamics of instructions given by the Most High. My brothers and sisters, I want to challenge you to find in the scriptures where the words 10 Commandments exist. And let me know where you see the words 10 Commandments. And when you find them, if you should, because I don't believe it says 10 commandments. It say commandments. And the Most High gave Musha commandments. I don't believe it says 10. That's an awakening statement. But let me do another check. And let me pause and say, let me put these words in, put the word 10 in. T-E-N. And search the scriptures for it. And specifically in Exodus. And you know, my brothers and sisters, I don't see the word 10 commandments in Exodus. Now, were there 10 commandments? Indeed, they were. My point is, my brothers and sisters, I've heard individuals say all you have to do is obey the 10 commandments. Then some say all you have to do is obey the 10 commandments, his laws and statutes, referencing what is written. In most cases, I say to you, we serve a living Almighty One. And though we receive 10 commandments in Exodus 20th chapter, there is so much to His Torah that span beyond the 10 commandments. So I'm not saying disregard them, and I'm not saying ignore them. Are we not aware when the Mashiach, Yahusha, spoke in Matthew 22? Notice that Matthew 22:29. I want you to bring your attention, and I want to read this to you. This is where the Mashiach is quoted as saying, Yahusha answered, said to them, you go astray, not knowing the scriptures nor the power of the Almighty One. That was Matthew 22:29. If you drop down to verse 36 through 40, Matthew 22:36 through 40, it says, Teacher, which is the great command in the Torah? And Yahusha said to them, you shall love Yahuwah, your Almighty One, with all your heart, with all your being, with all your mind. This is the first and great command. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commands hang all the Torah and the prophets. My brothers and sisters. But let us be mindful, though we receive these instructions, the Most High seek those who worship Him and serve Him in spirit and in truth. Spirit and in truth, my brothers and sisters. And so I say to you, if you just embrace the Torah as the first 5 books, what are all the other instructions that we receive throughout the scriptures? What are they to be called? When He works and starts giving us specific tasks and details for these end times, what are those instructions to be called? Many will argue and debate, but if Torah means instruction, my brothers and sisters, we must understand that it goes far beyond just the text. And we will. John 4:24 says, the Almighty One is spirit, and those who worship Him need to worship Him in spirit and in truth. That was John 4:21. My brothers and sisters, engaging the Spirit of the Most High, listening to Him, yielding to Him as He speaks through us one towards another. We will witness the rise of the chosen leaders that will present the instructions that are necessary for the 144,000 Hebrews that will emerge to fulfill what is written. Necessary for the great multitude that will rise up during the tribulation period and represent the set apart ways of the Most High. Pray, my brothers and sisters. Let me ask you this question. Do you believe the Almighty Father Yahuah is alive? For I proclaim among many that He, the Almighty Yahuah, is very much alive and present. He is present among us and in us, we who are His children. And though we may not see set apartness 100-fold, 100%, even 50% at times through a brother or a sister, seek to discern, for the Most High promised discipline And that brother or sister may be going through discipline. That brother or sister may be as a vessel that the Most High is cleaning up that house. You see, sometimes we condemn a person not recognizing what they're going through because we are unable to see in our own mind, using our own wit. But the Spirit of Yahuah, sent in Yahusha's name, can reveal to us the pain, the anxieties, the challenges that a person is facing, so we can intercede in prayer first and foremost, and have a ready mind, body, and soul to respond to the leading influence of the Spirit of Yahusha towards that brother or sister. Make no mistake, we serve an Almighty One. Make no mistake, those whom are His will demonstrate a stirring within. My brothers and sisters, Torah is a powerful thing indeed. When we understand it is the Torah, the instruction, the laws and ordinance, the laws and statutes are made alive by the voice and power and might of He who is the Almighty One, the beginning and the end. Let me just present a side note, my brothers and sisters. There's a passage that most are unable to discern or speak correctly about. And this is a passage of scripture I want to share with you. It says, it's commonly reported that there is whoring among you, and such whoring as is not even named among the Gentiles, so as one to have his father's wife. And you have been puffed up and did not rather mourn, so that he who has done this deed be removed from among you. For indeed, as absent in the body but present in the spirit, have already judged the one who did this as though I were present. For I indeed, as absent in the body but present in the spirit, have already judged the one who did this as though I was present. Here we see Shalum making or rendering a judgment as led by the Spirit of Yahuah, for he experienced through discernment, not being present, what was going on. And it goes on to say, in the name of our Master Yahushua Messiah, when you are gathered together in my spirit with the power of our Master Yahushua Messiah, deliver such a one to Satan for the destruction of the flesh, in order that his spirit be saved in the day of Master Yahushua. You see, my brothers and sisters, there are many who have come and gone that are indeed our brothers and sisters, but they face the violent or very painful death, a regrettable death. But yet they will be in the ranks of those who will make it to everlasting life with Yahushua HaMashiach. You see, my brothers and sisters, sometimes we will find ourselves making tough decisions to respond to the fruit of somebody's wickedness by purging them, putting them away, or coming away from them, not having anything to do with them. And as their flesh begin to deteriorate, they may indeed find their spirit rising up with strength of repentance, recognizing forgiveness, recognizing the blood of the Lamb of Yahusha, recognizing the living Torah, the living instructions of Yahushua HaMashiach. In some cases, my brothers and sisters, there are some of us who will face physical death. We will find ourselves making tough decisions to respond to what we are ordered by the Father in the name of Yahusha. In order to receive the life in the scriptures, we must discern the voice of Yahusha to make alive what is meant to be received. My brothers and sisters, in order for us to witness the emergence of the 144,000 great multitude, we must and will recognize the living instruction, the living Torah of the Almighty Father. We will know what it means to subject ourselves to one another as the Spirit of the Most High works in us, through us, one towards another, and through His chosen ones. We will grow to discern why it is important not to just stop prematurely, but it's important to continue to seek to discern. We will discern why it is important to avoid premature actions regarding the word Torah, regarding His instructions. We will discover how the Most High Father Yahuah is very much alive and present. We will grow to know why we must and will grow to acknowledge Yahushua Mashiach as the name of the Almighty Father Yahuah desires us to recognize him and why. How this here happens in the fulfillment of his plan. Yasharal. Oh, Yasharal. There is much work ahead of us. We will discover purpose individually and collectively. We will grow to appreciate living instructions from the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahushua's name. We will grow to recognize how the Spirit of Yahusha works in us and through us. I cannot stress that enough. And he will remove all obstacles. Pray and watch. And there will be times he will ask us to come away. And there will be times we will face martyrdom, physical death for Yahushua's name. Pray and watch, O Yasharal. We cannot abandon nor escape the calling that is set before us. For he is the Almighty One. Yahuah is the beginning and the end. He has a plan that brings about order, a plan that brings about discipline and structure, a plan that reflects set apartness, a plan that will demonstrate we are indeed his children, children of the light of Yahuah, made possible by Yahushua Mashiach, made possible by his plan, the plan that he laid out, which recognizes the sacrifice, the atoning blood of the Lamb, the resurrection, the set-apart spirit, and so much more. Rise up, O Yasharal. Tough decisions are ahead. We will discover living orders like never before. The Father of life, the Almighty Father Yahuah, who manifests its word in the person of Yahushua Mashiach, who sent his set-apart spirit in Yahushua's name, who is the beginning and the end, will make it all clear. In spite of all the noise, sometimes I must admit, O Yasharal, I hear the noise and I see things that stick. They're like darts that stick me. That brings about a jolt in my spirit. Or should I say an attack to my spirit. And my spirit lean on the Almighty Father Yahushua to make clear, what should I do? How do I respond? And what I'm saying, my brothers and sisters, we can be on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Periscope. We can use whatever social media. We can be on the, there's some others that have popped up. Platforms and different platforms. Don't matter what platform we're on, my brothers and sisters. It's easy to see something we see. It's easy. Well, it's not easy, but there are times we will recognize something wicked and wrong and feel we need to say something right then and there. Sometimes I find myself in that position, but it is not for me to say something right then and there. It's not for me to say unless the Most High direct my path. With that said, this series, Unity Protocols, End Time Unity Protocols, will bring about many subjects. One of which I said would be vetting, what questions to ask, how to uncover the wicked, how to discern the voice of the Spirit of Yahusha, what questions to ask, how to yield, when to yield. That along with many other topics that will line up with End Time Unity Protocols. Until next time, me and my household, we will proclaim the names Yahuah and Yahusha. Me and my family will magnify the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahushua's name. We will continue to acknowledge the living presence of Yahuah in the name of Yahusha. We will continue to recognize that His Torah, the Torah, represents continued living instructions, that endless water, that endless word from the Almighty Father. And we cannot bottle it up into just 5 books. Or just the so-called Old Testament, the Tanakh, cannot be bottled up. It is endless. His living instructions, his living Torah. Whether we say instructions, law, or orders, my brothers and sisters, I submit to you, the Almighty Father is not making suggestions. He is not passive in any way. There are directives, there are instructions. And for us to disobey any of those instructions, the fruit of such disobedience will come upon us. End times are here, my brothers and sisters. It's time to step away from the milk, those who have been entrusted with insight and discernment to what is wise and set apart. It's time to make the tough decisions. It's time to draw closer together, my brothers and sisters. It's time to be as iron sharpen iron, with the sparks being the impurities flying away. Iron sharpening iron, meaning like-minded individuals when it comes to worshiping and obeying the Most High. Not thinking that we are greater than anyone else. Not being so high-minded, but being strong and set apartness as we are led by the Spirit of Yahuah. Torah, Torah, Torah. The Torah is indeed the living, set-apart words from the Almighty Father. They are vast in nature and cannot be bottled up. Pray, O Yasharal. Study. Pray some more and seek earnestly to discern and respond with accuracy to He who is the Almighty One, a living spirit. A set-apart spirit that is the ultimate set-apart spirit, that is alive, that is the beginning and the end, the Father of life. Yahuah, in the name of Yahusha, rise up, O Yasharal. Until next time, my brother, my sister, in Yahusha's name, I say to you, understand the full dynamics of Torah. Shalom.